Okay, here we are. I just finished this sketch, just the first layer of paint. Just been working with a lot of textures and brushwork to get a good surface to work with the next layers. It is the Avaldsnes Church. It's painted from this photo. Probably another video on my YouTube channel where I paint basically the same motive, just this is further away. It is for an exhibition, Lions exhibition in Karmøy, Norway, which I am in every year. The point with this video is I talk a lot about the importance of time, texture, and how to build how you have to think and build to actually make a painting evolve like a piece of driftwood in a way, time and touch. When I was painting, I got into one of the painters that I really dislike. It is this Bob Ross guy, and I have no idea why people like him at all, because it's so bad. His paintings are just crap, and there is no doubt about it. And in an interview I saw him say, well, I'm not making fine art, I'm making art for the masses, so art for people who are more simple. And that is actually saying, well, I'm not making any effort here, I'm just trying to make art for stupid people. It is like when they say, oh, we're not making gourmet food, we are just making food for the masses, and they are using bad ingredients and bad sugar and stuff, because dumb people don't need good food. Dumb people don't need to be challenged or to be thought something that might turn into quality. So that is what this video is about. It is about an hour long, and I talk about a lot of stuff in it. So with this, I hope you leave a comment, tell me what you think about my thoughts about this, and that if you want to support my channel, my work, please go to my Patreon or buy me a coffee. You find a link in the description and on my channel. So with this, I wish you a happy life and happy painting. If you use colors, or you change around your colors too much, and you have too many broken colors or too many fabricated colors like sky blue and all kinds of shit they make just to confuse people, because there is no such thing as a sky blue, okay? Maybe if you're that American painter Bob Ross, which of course wasn't a good painter. I have no idea why they are blowing that guy out of proportions. He had learned himself some tricks, some easy peasy thing. It's like he found this way to make a pancake fast, and he made the same pancake all his life. It didn't actually evolve his paintings, didn't get better, because the technique he used wasn't even open to what he was doing. Maybe I should actually take one of his paintings and just tear it down. Just show people how much bullshit it is, and that people shouldn't fall for it, because it is actually crap. It is so crappy that it wouldn't even be possible for me to paint something that crappy. Okay, and I feel it is just sad, okay? Simply sad. I feel it is sad, just sad, yeah, simply sad. That people actually, oh, I want to learn to paint like Bob Ross. Yeah, you want your instant coffee. Well, I drink a lot of instant coffee, and instant coffee is actually good It's bad for vision. If I made my coffee all the time, I would probably drink less of it. And of course, it's the same thing with Bob Ross. If Bob Ross had painted, good paintings, it would have taken more time. I could have said, oh no, I'm going to make a sky, and now I'm going to make it, you know, anything. The human brain, it's like we have symbols in our head. Our brain needs to have a way to recognize the world. It's like a computer. You can't make a computer without it has some algorithm or something that actually makes it be able to recognize things. Or even with AI, which works basically, evolves as a child in a way, we'll have to have some kind of algorithm or some kind of structure to the programming in the beginning. So yeah, that was maybe a digression, but the point is that his technique was so limited, and the way he was doing was so limited that it couldn't evolve as a piece of driftwood. It couldn't get the textures, it couldn't get the depth, it couldn't get, you know, depth is also easy. You know how easy it is? You just do like this, and oh wow, what a nice painting, nice brushwork, some people would say. I've seen paintings in museums that are basically no better than this one. Maybe they sketched it a little bit more focused, because I know I'm gonna paint over it, so there is no need for me to start to twinkle with this. I would rather do a lot of, shall we say, a lot of brushwork, a lot of textures and stuff, and worry about exactly how far this goes down, I can worry about later, because it's oil paint, it's not watercolor. I don't need to get it right the first time. Actually, I have some leverage, if you get my point. So that is why I can actually now concentrate on just making some nice brushwork. But Bob Ross couldn't do that. He couldn't do that. He had to finish it at once. And I actually I should have shown it. Yeah, I should take it down and show it to you. I found this in a container a while ago. And this guy is probably, it looks like it is from the beginning of the last century. It is this, and it's very sketchy, but I can actually see in this painting that the guy who has painted this has known quite a lot about painting, because you see how he has simplified the brushwork, how he has made this to be a painting done with basically maybe one, tops 2 layers, probably wet and wet in 1 layer. I love this because of all this guy has actually really known how to use a brush. I can see it in the textures. And I can also see it in his signature here, which I don't really know what it is. This might be worth a lot of money. I don't know. I'll have it on my wall. I found it in a container. So that is, you can see the difference. The difference here is that I haven't sketched it like this. I haven't sketched it to be a finished painting. I've sketched it because it's going to become, I'm just going to build the thickness and the colors, and then I'm going to go in and tweak it. So this but Bob Ross couldn't even do this. Bob Ross is just horrible. Bob Ross, there's nothing organic or real with Boss paintings. And it pisses me off that people actually believe that that was good painting. It's like Rembrandt and Turner are twisting in their graves, screaming, this shit shouldn't exist. I mean, maybe this should be a standalone video, actually, on YouTube, on my tube. I might do that, because I got into this frenzy now, talking about brushwork and paint. And if you can make yourself, you know, I have this guy I have been teaching a little bit in America, and he is a very good painter, I think. Kyle, his name is, and I think he's a very good painter. But he takes too much control from the start. You know, he's a little bit too controlling. And if you could let a little bit more loose, not get it wrong, because that would be a catastrophe, but maybe let a little bit more loose, he would get more diverse textures into it. And don't get me wrong, I think his paintings are very nice, but and maybe mine are too much, you know, so my paintings go the other way. Now, if you go and look at Turner, you just start crying, because you see he never actually finished these paintings. He basically just painted and painted and painted and painted and painted and painted and painted, and he never really finished, because he was in a process, in a manic process. And I know something about that manic process, because I have always problems with actually finishing my paintings. So many times the way I finish them is that I basically don't have more time to do more with them, because they're going to an exhibition or something like that. So, and the same thing will happen basically also with this one. I will, because I haven't got the time to tear it down and up again 10 times. I have maybe time to do it like 3 times, okay? But I will make it become quite good anyway. What I would like to do is become very economically independent, get some what they call FU money, so I can say no to all people who want their kids painted or stuff like that. But to get to a point where I have this FU money, I need to stop using money because my money use has actually hindered me in coming to that point. So you become basically a slave of your own stupidity. I've earned a lot of money on my paintings, there's no doubt. One of the people in Norway who has actually earned quite a lot of money, but I also used it like a drunk truck driver in Rio, if you know what I mean. And nothing wrong about truck drivers, of course, but basically I became a little bit, all my narcissistic traits basically took over there for a few years because I have a lot of uncertainty from my childhood and was a little bit pushed out and kind of bullied, not like physically but emotionally pushed out, and always seen as a strange kid. And for a while I didn't have much friends, and I just walked the earth alone, if you know what I mean, or felt very alone. So I have some wounds, and when I suddenly started earning a lot of money, I think I kind of compensated by feeling rich and spending money like expensive hotels and wasted a lot of time and money and stuff, because I kind of start to buy myself happiness or buy myself. It is a way, you know, the same many people do, rich people, you know, like the Carthaginians or whatever they call them. These people, they don't really have an inner life. There is no, it seems to me anyway, there is no real them. It's all about looks, it's all about superficial things, and it is because they don't have depth. There is nothing really there. And then they start buying shit, and you know, if you start to, that can be sex, it can be having many partners, it can be, it's never enough. You know, how many do you need? How many do you need until you feel like you are good enough and stuff like that? So yeah, I've done that too. I've been extremely promiscuous and attention seeking and all these things. So yeah, there's and I think, you know, being Bob Ross, coming back to Bob Ross, being Bob Ross, I mean, he must have known, I'm pretty sure that he must have known that his stuff was crappy. Now, of course, I could, you know, I made some really crappy art in the beginning, but it was honest. My crappy art was actually honest because it was kind of childish and stuff like that. His art, Bob Ross's art, is cynical. It is really cynical. Now he's dead, you shouldn't talk bad about the dead, but they say, but then again we talk bad about Adolf Hitler and Stalin and you know, with of course he wasn't a Stalin or a Hitler, but you know what I mean. I mean, it doesn't, him being now dead doesn't make his paintings better. I think he was a very dishonest person who could actually pour out all this crap, which is crap. Yeah, I think this should be a standalone video. Maybe it's interesting. My girlfriend said I should actually make more of these talk videos about textures and painting and life and everything. And you see, I think, and then I start to I paint, and then I start to go into this frenzy. It's beautiful where I think now it actually feels like you're here. I mean, this is now, and in a while this video will be on my YouTube channel as somebody sees it. And it is, the funny thing is that if there should be one good reason to do painting or do art or do some creative work that actually leaves some trace of your existence in reality, is the fact that every time somebody sees this video or hear me speak about these things, it prolongs my life, even after I'm dead. The problem with being Bob Ross is, of course, it prolongs his crappy painting life. And of course it probably gives pleasure to, but you have to be, I think you have to be extremely simple-minded to think that Bob Ross's paintings are good. And you have to have quite an, you have to be more emotionally and at least emotionally, and probably, because emotionally intelligent, usually people who are emotionally intelligent are also quite intelligent intellectually. Of course there's not necessarily always a correlation. I will think it is that as you evolve your capability to see and empathize with the brushwork of Turner or Rembrandt or any other great artist or any poetry or music, you will actually have to evolve yourself to be more able to go into depth, because identifying, when I go to a painting and I look at the different textures, the different brushwork, I actually see the person. I see the person in the brushwork. I can see his choices, like the painting I just showed you. I can see his choices. He's dead a long time ago, the guy who painted this painting. I see it in the surface, it's in the frame. It's a very old painting. So the guy who did it, that is, made it, I found this in a container because somebody has actually thrown it away. And now it's on my wall. And it's one of my favorite paintings. And just think about this. This guy painted that painting many, many years ago, and he's dead now. Somebody threw it away. I pick it up, and now I am prolonging this guy's life by talking about his painting. And I don't even know who it is. And I think I'm going to do better and try to find out, because I would love to know who actually painted that painting. I have a name there, but it's just, and I can actually see that it is a painting who is painted by a person who at least knows a little bit of what he's doing. Yeah, it's amazing to think, and the same thing will happen. I painted one of the few Norwegian Jews who survived the Holocaust, and I also painted one of the most known freedom fighters during the Second World War, Knut Andre, his name was, and I made this quite nice portrait. I'm actually going to paint him again, and I'm going to also paint Samuel Steinmann again, and probably give it away to the Norwegian Home Front Museum, so they can hang together a victim and a freedom fighter. That is my plan. I'm just gonna paint him and give it away. Of course I will get some media coverage with it and stuff, and that will be good, but I just feel like I want to do. Anyway, me painting these known people in Norwegian history have put me into Norwegian history. So if I died now and didn't do anything more, at least these paintings would be viewed because I have painted historical people. So that would then be my legacy. And these paintings are also some of the best paintings I made. So yeah. And it's funny because I was so nervous. You know, you find a video on my YouTube channel where I painted this. Actually, I'm gonna make new, because I used in one of the videos I used. I'll just see if this is still rolling. Yes, it is. In the video of Samuel Steinmann, I used a series called Auschwitz in the background. A very good series about the Holocaust. But I think I want to make a new remake of that long video where I just talk about painting and add in a voiceover, so it will be more, people can actually learn more from it. And also, of course, keep the original file on my YouTube channel so they can actually listen to that series called Auschwitz, and it will of course tell everyone to listen to Auschwitz, that series. Now I have a lot of plans, and as I said to my girlfriend, I need to live for another 1,000 years only to get through half of it. And it's sad really that human life is so short and that we have. And you know, maybe Bob Ross was a nice person, or maybe he was just a complete narcissist that earned money from making these horrific paintings. And there are people that has picked up this technique and also kind of earns money on it and tricks people into believing that this is good art. And of course, that making painting that is that bad especially here in Norway, because there's been a big debate of what is art, you know, is modern art really art? Yeah, I would say modern art are art. I mean, if somebody comes into a gallery and their concept is to take a shit in the corner of the gallery, it's called conceptual art, and it is art because that is what art means today, or can mean. There is no rules, there is no aesthetics, there is no narrative, there is just, and that is, of course, I will say, is basically, that is narcissism. When artists do that in the light of all the extreme beauty that is you can find in historical art and stuff, I just cringe. Okay, I just know that these people are not good people. They are usually very self-centered. I'm self-centered too, but they are self-centered in a very, very, very negative and narcissistic way. I know I use that word narcissistic a lot, but I think it's very important. Actually, I studied narcissism because I had a girl in my life that probably had covert narcissism. And to cope with that, I actually started to study. And it's, as I say about her, it is basically like if there was a coffin in the room that stood covert narcissist on, it was almost like, when you look at how she acted, almost like she just laid down in that coffin, could just go over there and lay down in it, because everything she did was what a covert narcissist would do, or at least a severe BPD would do, or person with borderline personality disorder. Now, of course, it wasn't her fault. It's trauma, it is low self-esteem, it's all kinds of stuff that leads to people evolving covert narcissism, but they are vicious, and yeah. My new girlfriend is sweet, yes, and also things happened to her in her childhood, and she had her struggles, but it made her better. Like all my struggles made me better. So now, when Bob Ross was actually laying on his deathbed, dying of cancer, I mean, it must be horrible, you know, it must have been horrible to think that, wow, I'm dying and I made these crappy trees. I made all these horrible paintings that has absolutely no painted value at all. Of course, people sell these paintings, they're worth something because he's a known person and stuff, but it is so bad. So the reason why I started talking about all this, of course, with brushwork and stuff, is that it is better to make less paintings and then rather have some better ones, if you know what I mean. And as I also say to young artists, please do not spend your money like I did. If you get your hands on some sales, money or something, take care of it. Put it in a box somewhere and do as my mother tried to tell me. The journey usually doesn't go effortlessly into heaven, you know. We should save something for a bad day, and I didn't. And that is why I today actually have to do commission works and things I wouldn't have done. So yeah, probably get a lot of maybe some hatred because what I'm saying about Bob Ross. I would probably say, oh, you didn't know Bob Ross, you couldn't have... No, that I know, I didn't know him. But I kind of know him through his brushwork. I kind of know him through the lies he told about painting. Okay? Because he is or was lying about painting. And it is basically like you make music or poetry, but you rip off other people's work and you make it worse, you know, and you try to convince people that this is original. I remember my uncle, he was trying to sell some. He was a very good businessman. He lived in New York and everything. And he used to be a manager for these clubs, these golf clubs and stuff. But he came to Norway and he tried to start new businesses. Come back to Norway. And once he had actually tried to start selling art, selling paintings, but he was buying them probably mass made in Asia somewhere, you know, with these horrible landscapes, and it was basically the same thing Bob Ross did. They looked like the Bob Ross paintings. So I guess Bob Ross probably picked up the easy peasy technique that they use to mass produce this kitsch, which people with no taste buy. The people with less introspection or enough introspection to see what is crap and what is not. So yeah. Now you also have in art vanity. You have a lot of vain people that think they are geniuses. You hear they say they are self-proclaimed geniuses, and that is on the other side horrific, because if you have that attitude, you will stop learning. Everything stops. The day you come to the point where you start to love, I don't even think it's love, you know. When people are like that, do they love anything? Do they actually love anything? And I think that is a very good question. And I also think the answer is no. They don't really love anything or anyone. They don't love themselves because they are not honest. And you can't love other people. You can be, of course, attached to them. You can be have trauma bond like I had to my ex and stuff, but you will not. It won't be love. It's not going to be love. It has nothing to do with love. And people are like that. They can't really love anyone because they don't love themselves. And I know it's a cliche. It is a cliche. But that's what it is, you know. They don't love themselves. And the hatred and the visceral, or the hatred that comes to the surface when you criticize them a little bit, or you show them the error of their ways, is just extreme, you know. The hatred they pour against you when you kind of tear down a little bit of their ego. And the same thing is with a lot of artists. That is why I don't have many artist friends, because I think they are usually emotionally dishonest. I don't think they are nice at all. They are full of themselves. They talk about their art as it has you know, it's almost like, I don't even think the classic artists had such hubris. And I remember my sculpture teacher, which sadly died of cancer, Krzysztof Nasiolowski, a guy from Poland. And he hated that kind of hubris and arrogance, the artistic arrogance. And some artists are actually proud. They say, I'm a narcissist, I'm so proud, I'm a narcissist. They don't know what narcissism is. They do not know how bad it is, how suffocating it is for their own being. And sorrow, because they are not really alive, they are not really feeling, they are not really logged on. And to be logged on and to love and to create good brushwork, you have to be emotionally honest. And to be emotionally honest, it's dangerous. It is, if you have some trauma, and people that has these traits have had a lot of trauma. I think that is also why many artists actually become, that's why they actually become artists in the first place, because they are loners, they have been a lot alone. Maybe it's more talk about BPD when it comes to that, borderline personality disorder. But borderline personality disorder seems because I've seen people who started out in art school and they became hard. They kind of lost the innocence and became hard. And that is probably because the art scene is so politically correct. You have to nobody's actually speaking truth. Or almost nobody is speaking truth. And they're usually one-sided on the left, and they are very politically correct, and are very scared of not being politically correct. They always kind of attack the same things. Usually socialist. Of course, they hate Donald Trump. They hate America. They hate Israel, and all this thing. And they don't have the inner strength to break out of norms. So they just goes in there and they hide behind their conceptual art and their artsy friends and the parties where everybody's just speaking the same language. I've been to parties like that. It's the most boring thing you can. There's parties where people have to be politically correct. They can't really rock the boat. You can't argue. You can't. It is so boring, you know. It's like Christopher Hitchens did say, my late hero Christopher Hitchens. What is your biggest fear? They asked him, and he said, boring people. People who bore me. People who have nothing to say. People who just lie and kind of have this act about them. That is what he feared the most, and to be honest, it's kind of one of my fears too. Because when I meet people like that, I really don't know how to act. It's very hard for me to be normal. And my girlfriend also had this problem. She can't fake things. She have tried for many years. She tried to be something she was not. and she tried to fit in, but it became so hurtful that it just tore her down. And that is why many artsy people kind of change dramatically when I get into, maybe there was some honesty there from the start, but because of being politically correct, they just said goodbye. Actually, another ex that I had many years ago, she did that. She even changed her dialect. Okay, it was almost like she changed from when she was with me. She kind of changed her whole personality. Think about that. You come from New York, and you start. Oh no, there's a better. Yeah, you come from Texas, in America, or something like that. Some place they have a very kind of rough dialect, and you change to a New York dialect or a Manhattan type of dialect. You know what I mean? You just don't want to recognize your past anymore. You want to be a snob. You want to fit in. You want to be, and you can't speak this dialect because people will think you're stupid. You know. And I come from an Iceland called Karmøy, and I live in Oslo. And even here, there's a difference between dialects and stuff, and people think that people from my Iceland are kind of simple-minded and stupid, and of course some people are, but they are more direct, more honest, or more outspoken than you find them in the city, you know, Oslo. So my dialect is, I'm using R when I speak R like French people do. In Oslo they say R with the thumb. And I've been here for 30 years now, almost 30 years, and I never even come close to changing my dialect. But my ex, not the narcissistic one, but the other one, she was probably borderline. Still is. She even changed her dialect, and I can't speak to her anymore because it's so disturbing to me to listen to her when she speaks. It's so fake, and it sounds fake, and it's also so unnecessary. So yeah. Anyway, there was a lot just because because of some texture. Now I'm kind of building this now. You see that? I'm just kind of suddenly here I had some Bob Ross moment where I felt that I guess what I tried to say was that I had felt like I had a recipe and I followed a recipe. But I don't really do that. I build my paintings like a piece of driftwood is done by the laws of nature, over time, with love and care. If you'd like to support my channel, you can do that by going to PATRON and sign up for one of the tiers, and I hope to see you there. And if you'd like to be really sweet to me, you can find a link to buy me a coffee in description, along with the link to my Patreon. So hope to see you in my next video.